We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insight, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Monday, June 8th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Sujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Ki.
Happy Monday!
Happy Monday. Also, Niles with us.
Happy to be here.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So we're kicking off another work week with this Monday, and for many parents, that also means juggling packed schedules, school drop-offs, and a never-ending challenge of raising kids in today's fast-moving world. And speaking of parenting styles, today's topic is something that many moms and dads probably think about quite often. And since both of our panelists today are parents raising children themselves, I'm going to start out with asking, Ki, how would you describe your parenting style?
Well, I thought I was a non-protective dad. I used to think that way, but I would let kid do whatever he wants to do. But I would have, as long as he's responsible, right? But let him be what he wants to be in reality. But I think I'm a protective dad because when I raising my child, it's like a precious treasure all the time.
It's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, between reality and dreams, most importantly, financial responsibility. I try to teach him like whatever I can't help it, you know. I am a protective dad.
I can just tell that I'm sure you're a great dad. I can tell you have so much love for your son. What about you, Niall?
You know what? The keyword for the millennial generation for parenting has been gentle parenting for many years. And I guess I lean more towards gentle parenting, but not to the extreme. There are certain methods of gentle parenting where people say you shouldn't say things like good job because that focuses on the results and you should just point out what they did. Oh, you drew a picture. I don't think I'm to that extreme, but I want to do everything for my child for sure, but I don't think having access to everything is necessarily what's best for the child. And I guess my keyword for parenting is awareness and acceptance of what the child is, who the child is becoming, for myself as well as for my child.
Right, so for some parents, the goal isn't to remove every challenge from their child's life, but rather to help them understand and navigate those challenges with awareness and confidence. So we're going to talk more about this, but first, let's take a look at the screen. The way parents raise and discipline their children has changed dramatically over the years as the role of children within families and society continues to evolve. And while protecting children has never been more important, growing concerns are also emerging over cases of excessive parenting and overprotection. Today on News Generation, we take a closer look at why this culture of overprotective parenting is becoming more common, what social and psychological factors are driving it, and the unintended problems it may be creating for both children and parents alike. Just as we saw in a video, concerns over safety and emotional well-being are reshaping many parts of childhood these days, and these changes are becoming increasingly visible in also schools and everyday activities. So how has this culture of overprotection changed childhood in recent years, Ki?
Well, back when I was a kid, or when we were kids, it was completely normal, or it's just natural to see kids run around the playground and play soccer every 5 to 10 minute break. But these days, things have changed quite a bit. More schools are restricting use of playgrounds over concerns about safety accidents and potential complaints from parents and people around them. In fact, according to data from the Ministry of Education, about 17% of elementary schools in Seoul now prohibit activities like soccer or baseball on school grounds outside of regular class hours. And it's just not playground disappearing. Field trips and outdoor learning programs are also on the decline due to growing safety concern. Education office data shows that while around 600 schools held on-site experience program in 2023, that number dropped to just 300 by 2025, cut in half in only 2 years.
So it's striking how experiences once considered a normal part of growing up are now disappearing in the name of safety and protection. And it's not just physical activities that are changing, competition itself is also being viewed quite differently. So how are schools changing the way children experience competition and rewards?
Well, the competition areas are very different nowadays because before we used to work hard, we used to try to learn, but then nowadays what happens is, they got rid of the exams, for example, because they don't want to see their kids drop their grades. So those kind of things that happen nowadays, and they just get rid of everything.
Right, that's quite interesting how things have really changed. So what are your thoughts on this, Maya?
Yeah, there's things like sports days, which we grew up with, and looking forward to even, are also being scaled back or disappearing altogether. One notable trend is that some schools no longer determine winners or losers, or they just record all competition as draws in the end. This reportedly is due to the increasing complaints from the parents whose children felt like they were upset after these competitions. And award ceremonies altogether are changing as well. Instead of presenting the awards in front of all the students as it used to happen, some schools now call all the winners separately and give them their awards in private. And this change is also said to be motivated by the concerns of those, the sense of relative deprivation or disappointment felt by children who do not receive the awards.
So this really shows how far society is going to protect children from disappointment and emotional stress, even in situations that were once considered natural learning experiences, just part of growing up. And that's why we also want to hear directly from our viewers. So we ran a poll on the IDI News YouTube channel asking which of the following do you think counts or as excessive overprotection by adults. Here's what the results showed. So majority of the respondents, 63%, point to banning children from playing in playgrounds. Meanwhile, 17% said giving awards to students in secret was excessive, while 10% chose canceling field trips. Another 10% pointed to declaring all games a time regardless of results. So I guess what stands out here from the results is that many people seem especially concerned about children losing opportunities for physical activity and real-world experiences, suggesting that overprotection is now being seen as something that may actually limit healthy growth and independence. But at the same time, many experts say these trends didn't appear overnight, but are being shaped by deeper social and cultural changes. So what is driving this rise in overprotective parenting culture, Keem?
Well, with South Korea's low birth rate, of course, which, by the way, is on a positive momentum right now, more families are now pouring all of their time and money and attention into just one single child, creating a growing culture of wanting to raise children in the best possible environment without lacking anything. And social media has also raised the bar for what many see as the perfect parenting, constantly exposing parents to idealized images of childcare and education. And experts say another major factor is generational. Many of today's parents grew up in very strict authoritarian households as just as a kind of emotional rebound. They now tend to be far more empathetic and accommodating toward their own children, sometimes to an extensive degree. So it's just a completely different generation. I see my kids in picture in the palm of my hand every week or so, which my parents never had such a privilege, and it just became natural. It even bothers me, though it shouldn't, if I don't see enough of my kids' pictures, or if my kid looks somewhat different or uncomfortable in the scene, then I feel uncomfortable. So, which I shouldn't, because I wasn't raised that way. But that's how much it's different.
But I feel like that's what makes you a good parent. You care about how your son is doing. So it's interesting how changing family structures, social pressure, and even parents' own childhood experiences are all influencing the way children are being raised today. And beyond parenting itself, some say broader social anxiety is also playing a major role. So how is today's competitive society contributing to this culture, Niall?
Right. Some analysts say that a social climate in which the cost of failure has become excessively high is contributing to this trend. In areas ranging from college admissions to employment to relationships and economic competition, failure is increasingly viewed as not just a recoverable learning experience, but as a sign of falling behind. As a result, many parents have become very anxious about their children experiencing disappointment or setbacks in the first place. Schools and teachers are also said to be making safer, less controversial choices as they face growing pressure from a system that places excessive responsibility on them, and along with the burden of dealing with frequent and sometimes unreasonable complaints from the parents.
So this is quite interesting. So this suggests that the issue goes beyond parenting style alone, reflecting a society where both children and adults are under growing pressure to avoid failure at all costs. But as parents yourselves, there may be also parts of this culture, on the other hand, that feel understandable on a personal level. So as a parent, what parts of this overprotective culture do you actually empathize with?
Well, like I said before, but media plays a lot. I've seen a lot of news or documentaries where kids are being abused or bullied and just naturally become worried. And also access to kids with advanced technologies make things more difficult. I used to teach kids in private schools, and the kids' parents used to entrust me with everything as they were paying big sums of money, of course, to improve their kids' skill. But nowadays, it's a different story. The demand, the service, as though in some ways it's true, but they think they are high-end customers, not parents. And when you look at other kids and their parents, you want to be fair, meaning you want to do just as much as other parents are doing. And that's what you see from the social media as well. So regardless of what you think, what you're capable of doing, media plays definitely a big role.
Right, I mean, comparison can be very toxic. So what about you, Niall?
Yeah, I mean, our generation still had corporal punishment somewhat through our education, and even facing school violence. That was a serious problem as well. But perhaps it's the advancement of technology or crazier stories that we hear online that makes us even more sensitive. But we're generally a lot more anxious and careful generation than the previous parenting generations. But it really does come from a heart of wanting to protect our children and wanting to give them the best. However, everything, not just in education and protection, should be done in moderation and with awareness of how much and how far we have gone.
Right, moderation really is key, and this really highlights the difficult balance many parents face between wanting to protect their children while also worrying about falling behind social expectations. And to get a more personal and in-depth perspective on this, we're going to talk to a mother of 2 young children. And that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out Channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Jem, a mother of 2 children who are currently 10 and 6 years old. So hello, Jem. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hi there, nice to see you.
Jem, so what are some examples of overprotective parenting in the US?
Well, I've seen a lot recently that parents are not letting their children do kind of age-appropriate activities, like if they're 10 years old, walking to the park alone, or a teenager taking public transportation. And nowadays, there are many GPS apps or tracking apps, which is really great when they're young, but as we get into the teenager phase, then they start to feel like it's a little invasion of privacy. So I think overall, like you guys mentioned with sports days too, America's quite famous for everybody's a winner and this kind of attitude. So some people feel it's a little too overprotective.
So, Jane, compared to the past, why do you think these kind of overprotective behaviors have become more common?
Well, definitely we have more knowledge, more information than the past. We see a lot of news and media, what's good and bad, what is dangerous for children. So definitely that, but also nowadays people are having less children as well. So, I have my one precious baby. I want to protect them and take care of them and give them the best. So I do think that also influences it.
All right, now there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to parenting. And so I want to ask you what you think is the healthiest way to raise children while balancing protection and independence?
Oh, it's really hard in reality, right? But I would definitely say it's that we as parents should be the safety net. I'm your backup plan, but we should really teach our children to be independent, confident, responsible for their own schedules. When they're a teenager, maybe have them make their own appointments, manage their own time, and I'm just there to help. I'm just the backup plan. So I feel maybe this is the best way to handle it.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today, Jem.
Yep, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
We just spoke with a mother of a first and fourth grader about the pressures and realities of parenting in today's world. And while many parents act out of love and concern for their children, some experts warn that excessive protection may also come with unintended consequences. So what problems can overprotective parenting create for children?
Right, so a lot of experts point out that one thing many children are missing nowadays is the chance to build that resilience. Resilience is an ability to recover from failure or disappointment and try again. But by removing opportunities for children to experience setbacks altogether, some experts warn that parents may actually be hindering the development of a healthy self-esteem and emotional resilience. I've seen from a TV show once that, we all learn how to walk, but to get there, we had to trip and we had to fall for 20,000 times. But kids nowadays really need to learn from picking things up from where they left off and then where they fell from. So that's a really important thing.
But I'm sure as a parent, it's hard to see your children fall. And that's such an important point too, because learning how to recover from setbacks is also a key part of growing up and developing confidence. And some researchers say the emotional impact may already be showing up among children today. So what are they saying about children's mental health trends these days?
That's right. There is research suggesting that levels of depression and anxiety among elementary students in Seoul have been rising. According to findings, the average depression score among Seoul elementary school students rose steadily from in 2021 0.51 to 0.66 in 2022, and by 2023 0.73. And some experts point out that this overprotective parenting could be a contributing factor, and it's shielding children from even minor frustrations and anxieties, and this could play into the fact that children are more constantly depressed and anxious.
And it's quite concerning that so many young children are feeling depressed. And it also raises an important question about whether shielding children from every difficulty may actually leave them less prepared to handle challenges later in life. So in the end, many people are asking what healthy parenting and education should really look like going forward. So then what kind of direction in parenting and education should they move towards in the future, Keith?
Well, come to think of it, when I was young, I was a super clumsy kid. I get bumped into everywhere. I get cut, and I even broke my leg. So I made my parents worried. But then the thing is, a couple months ago, I saw my kid bleed. He was playing in the playground, and he fell deep, and had a deep cut in his forehead, and I could almost see his bone. And there, I just lost it. I wasn't being overprotective. Like seeing my kid being hurt, it was something different. But then later, I came to realize we need to draw a clear line between being overprotective and following the social norms. So the key is really draw the line between being a normal parent, keeping the social norm, whereas you don't want to be a super protective and be super emotional.
Right, and that's realistically sometimes very hard because as a parent, you love your kid, you want them to be always safe.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on this, Niall?
Yeah, I think Jem actually had a good point on this, in that parents are meant to be there to be the backup plan when kids do fall, to catch them. But as Key mentioned, yes, sometimes it gets very difficult to contain your emotions. But I think what I question myself in those moments is this an emotion for myself or what will be better for the child? And a lot of times it's that I have the anger, and if I just let things be, it will play out and perhaps help my kid grow stronger from the experience. And as I keep mentioning, it's really all about that balance and balancing between the independence and perhaps a little bit of the struggle. And so we need to teach our children that facing challenges and setbacks and unmet expectations is a natural and important part of life that will build resilience for them in the future as adults.
And that's probably part of the biggest challenge facing parents today, finding a balance between protecting children and also preparing them for the real world. And while no parent wants to see their child struggle, overcoming setbacks may be just as important as celebrating successes. And sometimes the greatest gift parents can give is not removing every obstacle, but helping their children learn how to overcome them on their own. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Key.
Thank you.
And also Niall.
No problem.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll give your children enough freedom to surprise you. We are
News Generation.